allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. As far as roll call, we have one absent. Councilman Eskra is not here tonight. Otherwise, all council members are present. There's a copy of the Open Meetings Act. It's posted on the wall over there. We'll move right into the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on November 3rd, 2025, as on file in the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of the treasurer report of claims in the amount of $2,973,748.04. Item F, approval of Basel report of claims in the amount of $1,978,103.61. Approval of BPW report of claims in the amount of $648,611.11. Approval of pay request number 10 in the amount of $514,944.67 to Genesis Contracting Group for the Boswell South MSW landfill site entrance facility project. Approval to pay request number 9 for $641,131.20 to Press Excavation for the Boswell South MSW landfill phase 1S project. Item J, approval of pay request number 10 in the amount of $740,801.82 to Press Excavation for the Boswell South MSW landfill phase 1S project. Item K, approval of change order number 3 regarding the time extension for the substantial and final completion dates, and pay request number 4 in the amount of $277,195.84 to Van Kirk Brothers Contracting for the 2025 Corral Crossing Addition project. Item L, approval of the pay request number 3 in the amount of $154,591.68 to Van Kirk Brothers Contracting for the 2025 Heritage Heights Addition project. Item M, award of the bid for the Ellis Street, 2nd and 3rd Street Concrete Reconstruction Project 2025 in the amount of $426,609.15 to RL Teeman Construction as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Award of bid for the Heritage Heights Park Playground Improvement 2025 to Play Pro Recreation LLC in the amount of $250,000. Approval of special designated license for Stone Hollow for an open house event on December 4th, 2025 from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 719 Court Street, Beatrice, Nebraska. Resolution number 7662, appointing Jessica Jarfsky to the Beatrice Plus Advisory Committee. Item Q, resolution number 7663, appointing David Painter as the alternate position to the Beatrice Planning and Zoning Commission. Item R, resolution number 7664, reappointing Charles Hubka to the Beatrice Airport Advisory Board. Item S, resolution number 7665, granting permission to the Beatrice Chamber of Commerce and Gage County Tourism and their designees to sell or offer for sale or peddle goods, wares, or merchandise upon the city property located in Charles Park, the Carnegie Building, the public parking lot just south of the Carnegie Building, and on 5th Street between High Street and the east-west alley between Ella Street and High Street as part of the Holiday Lighted Parade event on December 6, 2025. Item T, resolution number 7666, entering into a public consulting group emergency services agreement between the city and Public Consulting Group LLC to assist the city in analyzing and reporting costs to secure higher Medicaid reimbursement for the city's ambulance services. Item U, resolution number 7667, executing any and all documents necessary to accept the Urban and Community Forestry Grant Program for the purpose of funding the Beatrice Tree Planting Initiative. And item V, resolution number 7668, submitting a letter to the Nebraska Department of Economic Development requesting a budget amendment to CDBG agreement number 24-PWI-002. Anybody need a clarification or pulled off
I have two. Item N is in Nora, and U is in Union.
Okay, anybody over here? All right, Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda with the exception of items N and U be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
And your vote, please. And that passes 7-0.
I move that item N listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
I don't have any problem with it, and I'm not going to vote against it, but I wanted to take an opportunity for Mark and his group to take a little victory lap on the playgrounds. So the people in the neighborhood are anxiously waiting for all of these, for both of the school sites. But I was talking to some of the other councilmen prior to the meeting starting, and I can't tell you how many positive comments I've gotten about the playground equipments in all the parks, especially the one in Chautauqua Park, and it's really big. So I just wanted to have Mark take a little victory lap. He did a really super job, and remind the community, if they haven't been out to the parks to see the new playground equipment, they should do so.
Well, thank you. And this was funded by the RCRP grants. So again, the $985,000 that we received from the state, this is one of those projects. And my understanding from talking to Mark today, the matting is going in at Astro Park tomorrow. I think is when it's supposed to start.
Yeah, it's nice that you still got good weather
Yes.
to do that. Yeah, so that's what I had, Bob.
Yep. Had my two grandchildren there Saturday. It was packed.
Yeah.
I figured, we'll go. It's a beautiful day. We don't have to worry about it. But yeah, it was packed.
Yeah.
It was, and very well placed in Chautauqua Park, where that whole area, as I told somebody this morning, the boy is all boys, so he kind of went on the playground stuff and everything. And then of course he got it down in the creek, and he was hitting sticks and everything else. But
Well, there's less kids crawling on the waterfall now because they're crawling on the playground equipment, so that's kind of nice.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
They really are nice.
Yeah, so kudos to them, everybody involved, Tobias, so yeah.
Anybody else? If not, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0.
I move that item U listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
So this too, I don't have a problem with, I'm going to vote for it, but I did need some clarification. So in reading this, there's this, and then back in Tobias, in your report for the month, we've got a forestry management plan there was about $40,000 spent out of the $140,000 there, and then we have a $300,000 grant that we're getting here. All of those are good things. I've been banging the drum really hard about planting trees, and Alex and I spoke about this today, and there's a little too many moving parts for me. So can you explain all three of those all at one time under this umbrella, or do we need to wait and do it?
No,
Okay.
I can. So we got a forestry grant a year ago or so,
Right.
and with that one we did the forestry management plan, and we also did the mapping of the city trees in our city parks.
Okay.
We did that as part of that grant.
Okay.
That grant is ultimately 3 years, so
Right.
there's additional funds to be going forward. Then these funds became available, the ones that you're going to approve tonight. And in there, we were awarded $300,000, and this money can be used for,
removal and plantings. So for the forestry grant, the prior one, we had a couple removals that were done, and we had available funds for removal and planting. But since these funds came out, we thought it'd be better to use more of that $300,000 for removals and plantings and expand on that forestry management plan and the mapping.
So it isn't one in and one out. You can do it.
so we're going to go back and amend our first grant to allow us to do additional mapping. What we want to do is map every tree on the right-of-way, I believe, east of Highway 77.
Yep.
That's the plan.
Okay. Well, when Alex and I were talking about it, it was a little above what I understood, a little above what he understood, and I thought, here's my opportunity, and the community as well.
So yeah, between the two grants, we're able to kind of move the money back and forth.
Okay.
Still, with this one, you have $300,000 for tree removal, planting, and those types of things. and then still have the other dollars available to do some more of the management
Well,
stuff.
it's a lot of trees. $300,000 is planting a lot of trees, so.
Do we have like certain areas we have kind of targeted for this?
Mark does.
Okay.
I mean, he's got some identified. Obviously, the tree management plan that we did last time, and then some of that mapping we did before, there are some trees identified there in our parks and stuff that need to be taken care of and replaced and removed. And so Mark has a plan.
Good problems, thank you.
Yeah, Gary?
Do we still have our nursery going for trees on South Center Street?
No, we do not have a nursery anymore.
We did have it, didn't we?
We had one back,
In George
15 years
Pickering's?
ago, yeah, but we've not had a nursery for some time. We take hopefully local providers can give us some good deals on some trees.
Okay, your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Okay, we have one public hearing tonight. This public hearing is for the purpose of considering the proposed 1- and 6-year road and street plan for 2026. So, gentlemen, you are on.
We'll try. They might have to help us. We can negotiate this. Because the Street Logics is on that one as well. Okay, that's the spreadsheet.
Which one are you wanting?
We'll start here. Yeah, I understand. We can share that if you want. This is the maps here.
Yeah, I don't have one that matches that color scheme.
You don't have one, it's green
No.
and yellow.
Nope, you don't have this map.
Okay.
Not yet. Not yet. We'll get there. All right. So it's 1 to 6 year time again. Oftentimes when we come here, we're asked, well, why do we got to do this? So, and it was kind of brought up again at the board meeting. We need to do a 1 in 6 plan, and it's mandatory by the state of Nebraska. And it's a way that we can, one, prove to the state where are the funds going that are allocated to that comes from the Nebraska Highway Allocation Fund program. So we got to ask, well, what makes up that highway allocation program? Well, those funds are made up, one, from motor fuel tax. It's made up of motor vehicle registration fees. It comes from motor vehicle sales tax, investment earnings, and then Build Nebraska Act, which 15% of that comes from the sales and use taxes that they generate revenue from. So that's where all these highway allocation goes into one big pot. From that one big pot, then they split it 50%. 50% goes to the counties, 50% goes to the municipalities. Then out of our 50% split, what they do is then they look at these weighted factors based on the size of the city. One is the total population is a 50% factor. The other is total motor vehicle registrations, which is 30% of that factor. And then last but not least is miles of the traffic lanes that we have within our city is 20% of that factor. So they put all this equation together based on that, and that 50% split is based out. So out of those dollars, just to give you some example, in 25-26 allocation, Gage County gets $3.2 million. The city of Beatrice gets $1.8 million. So that's kind of where all these funds are coming from, and it's what Jason uses for maintenance of the roadways, all his functions that he performs as a street superintendent. That's where the dollars come from. So now we have to prove to the state, okay, we're getting this $1.8 million. What are you using it for? So the one thing is we prove to them what we're using it for, but also it gives the council and it gives the citizens of Beatrice a chance to come in and say, hey, here's what we want to use those funds for. So that's hence the reason for this meeting tonight. So just thought I'd give you a little background on why we're doing what we're doing tonight. With that being said,
Before you jump,
yeah,
you talk about lane miles.
yep.
Does it make any difference when you're measuring lane miles, whether it's hard surface, whether it's gravel, whether it's unimproved?
Yeah, there's formulas that we look at. It's based on the width of the roadway.
Okay.
And it's also based on the surface type, because certain roads, like gravel roads, no matter what, only counts as 2 lane miles
Okay.
or 2 lanes. So no matter how wide the gravel road is, it still counts as 2. But when we look at asphalt and concrete, depends on the width, is what allocates how many lanes there are, and then times length for lane miles.
Okay.
So with that being said, you were asking that, one of the tools that we use in determining what roadways we'd like to include in our 1 and 6 year plan is a program that we started using called Street Logics. And what we're trying to do with this program, it takes the human error out, I should say, or discrepancies between 2 different people trying to rate these roadways. Basically, they have a car that drives our roadways, and through these algorithms and different things with the cameras they have, it spits out a PCI or a rating for the condition of the roadway. That's one of the tools that we use. And so I'll show you these PCI. If you see up on the screen, it's called PCI index, and you'll see the different colors represent the different levels or the condition of that roadway. So everything from dark green is excellent, all the way to where we get to orange and red is very poor to serious and then failed. So we always like to look at everything that's from the very poor on up as some of the things that we're considering for our 1 and 6. Now, again, this is a tool. So I run the program. We have a deterioration curve, which I'll show you in a little bit. We see these roadways that are in very bad condition, but we don't use that as gospel. We also go back to Jason and say, hey, Jason, what are you seeing out there? Because we might get some roadways on here that show really poorly, but Jason goes out and looks at them and says, yeah, it's bad, but it's not as bad as this other one. I'd rather look at this road instead. So nothing can beat putting actual eyes to the roadway, and that's what Jason does. So we work as kind of a team on here. I kind of the engineering side of thing, the analytical side, and say, hey, here's what it's saying. And then Jason comes back and says, no, I don't really like that. I'd rather do this. Ultimately, the final decision comes down to the council and the people, but it's just one of the tools that we're using. So with that, let's see here. You were asking me about, let's go to the dashboard because you were asking me. Analytics, dashboard. Okay, stay there.
Yeah, what your program does, takes all the human variables out of it.
Correct. So this is just a quick dashboard.
And James, you have that completed for the whole city now?
Yes, it's been,
Okay.
and I guess I didn't bring that up. The last time we did this, the first time we did this, was in 2019. And we recently, with the new budget, the streets have been driven again, and they're currently working on providing that new information back to me. So we don't have those new PCI ratings, but right now, as you can see here, the total length or lane miles we're talking about that's used by the state is 101.7 lane miles, okay? Over here, we just talked about, the condition of the road. We have good, it's just on an average of 57, average 16. These are all pavement evaluations that we have. Total backlog, that's just, I put in the dollar amount, what would it cost to repair everything up to a certain level, and that basically spitting out that there's $27 million of backlog. So when you're getting $1.8 million for a whole street program every year, that doesn't go very far when you have $27 million that you're trying to make up for. So, all right. I'm not going to go to that. Let's go to deterioration. So one of the things that we're constantly doing here is, if you'll notice, this is pavement, which is in essence concrete pavement. Deterioration curves. So each year, instead of me going through and saying, I'm going to minus 3 points or minus 2 points or whatever to get a rating for this roadway, these deterioration curves are set up that over time, a roadway has an expected life. Concrete pavements, generally 30 to 40 years. So this curve was set up, if you had a brand new road, it'd have a score of 100%, and if we went out to 35 to 40 years, it would be a 0. So each year when they run our deterioration curves, it looks at, is it concrete? Where is that in that lifespan? And we're going to knock so many points off based off this deterioration curve. Rightly so, if we get to, concrete, I just said that, sorry, concrete, let's go to asphalt. Asphalt has a much quicker deterioration curve. Notice how it only lasts 20 years. Asphalt doesn't last as long. So it goes from 0 to, or 100 to 0 in 20 years. Now, we, of course, with our maintenance measures that we do, we try to get that to span out a lot longer time frame. But that's just some of the dollars that we're spending with armor coating and asphalt sealing. This is just the deterioration curve that's set up to determine those new PCI factors.
Jason, if you didn't do that, the maintenance that you do on them, that curve would go down a lot faster, right?
That's the curve without the maintenance.
Oh, okay.
By doing the maintenance, we hope to extend the life of the roadway.
Okay.
Yeah, so with that curve coming in, especially on asphalt, that curve comes down like this, and then if you do maintenance like every 5 years, you'll see that curve jump back up.
When
It
you're
won't
doing
jump
them-
to 100, but it will jump up, let's say, to 90 or 95, and then we can go 5 more years and hopefully get to jump back up to 90.
That's when you're doing the maintenance
And
on
then
them
we
and
can make
stuff.
that curve last maybe 30 years versus just 20 years.
20,
That's the
okay.
idea behind it, yeah.
Okay.
So this is just the overall, how all the PCIs are across the city. But I can also go in here, and one of the tools that I use when we're originally setting this up, if I say, hey, I want to see whatever suggested maintenances are that you think we ought to do for asphalt sealing. And then that map updates and it tells me, hey, here's the roads that we think that fits the categories that you put into the model that would need to be asphalt sealed. So I, of course, take these recommendations, and that's when Jason and I sat down, okay, here's what it's saying. Is this what you want to do? And then he goes through and say, yeah, I agree with this, or no, I don't. Same with the armor coating. So once again, it updates. This is telling me where we need to do the armor coating. And so it's one of the again it's spitting out, and Jason and I sit down and we say, okay, are this truly what we want to do? In terms of the overall street, I said, if you recall, anything from 40 and below is very poor. Okay, if I put that into the model, these are the streets that show up right now that are 40 and below. So we want to make sure that anything that's 40 and below that we have included in the 1 and 6. So, any questions on the model, or it's called Street Logics that we're currently using? Okay. Well, now we'll get into the actual 1 and 6 year then, and you can't probably see this very well at all on your screen.
Should be able to somewhere that.
You know we have all this, right? Okay.
So
Does he give you the copies that have the big lettering?
No.
Because when I get it, my glasses don't even fix it.
That's why I came down and got this today, because my computer was
All right.
getting worse.
James, come on.
So again, with the 1 and 6 year plan, it's not set in stone. When you approve it, it doesn't mean this, by golly, this is the streets that we have to do, and there's no change in it. By just having an approved in 1 and 6 year plan, it's just the idea of where we'd like to spend the dollars. If we want to move a project up, we can. If we want to move a project down, we can. Or we want to add one that's not even on the list, we can do that as well. So it's very, very changeable at any point. With that being said, the blue border is year 1, and keep in mind that we are a biennial budget city, so year 1 and 2 are the ones that we want to pay close attention to, because that's ones we actually have hard numbers allocated for the projects in the next 2 years. So I'd like to go over those pretty in depth with the council. After that, we can have a general discussion through the other years, and then the last sheet is kind of our future projects that we have, and I can show you the big long list that we have of streets that Jason and I would like to do at some point, and that's the ones we can kind of pick and choose from. Let's say if some grant money becomes available, we can move those up the system a lot further and include those. So with that being said, on the spreadsheet for the 1 and 6 year plan for year 2026, you see right away on there is US Highway 136. This is the project that the state is going to come in and mill and overlay Highway 136 from 1st Street to about 24th Street. These are funds that I put in there. The project is estimated to cost around $2.3 million. This particular project is completely funded by the state. It's called a maintenance project, and the state is handling all the dollars with this particular project. Okay? Ella Street is the next project on there, which you just got done approving the bids by RL Teeman on that. This is a project that we started in 2023. We had some changes to it over the course of years. Funds became available, and so we moved it to this year for a better construction season. So this is the area from 2nd to 3rd Street. Has some angled parking on one side, has parallel parking on the other. We are incorporating some landscaped area or planting areas along with this project as well. We're removing the brick that is currently there now. It will be all concrete. With the landscape features that we're adding to it, I think it'll tie in really nicely with the new cancer garden that's going to go in. Instead of it kind of just sticking out there by its own, I think with the inclusion of that cancer garden, I think it's going to tie everything in really well. So, in that project right now, I had estimated it to be at $498,000, or basically $500,000, and I think as you approved tonight, the bids were like $426,000 for that. And then Mark has his planting was like $18,000 on top of that. So we're well within budget on that particular project. Next is 7th Street, which is Arthur to Monroe. Basically, that is the one-way right behind McDonald's, which Jason and I have had our eyes on for quite some time. That'll be a reconstruction project, meaning it's currently concrete. We're going to redo that with concrete. It'll be 7-inch concrete along that roadway section. And that has a price tag of around $425,000 as well. Next on the list is Jefferson Street, and probably no one really knows where this one's located at this time, but this is in Hannibal View. This is the location where the city has recently acquired some property, and there's not a roadway that connects the area. Not only by constructing this roadway does it open up 4 to 5 lots for ourselves to develop, but on the north side, the developer himself will gain 2 lots, Tobias. He'll gain two lots as well to develop. So we felt like this was an easy project to add to 7th Street and hopefully get a contractor that wants to do both and get a good price on that. Just for sake of construction, I've added the Paddock school site and the Lincoln school site. These dollars came straight from JEO's cost estimates. And that pretty much completes the mill and overlay and then also the concrete reconstructions. So now we're getting into our armor coating and asphalt sealing. Basically, Jason had in the budget $32,500 for each of those. What we do is do our best to try to, sometimes we have a little bit more armor coating, sometimes we have a little bit more asphalt sealing, but we make sure we stay within those budgets for those two combined. With that being said, for year 2026, I have the total project cost of about $5 million. You notice how I have the city budget numbers. That's just what's currently in the budget. I have $1.94 million. Then I add back in what the state would allocate for Highway 136, which is the same amount, $2.3 million. And then you notice I have $500,000. That is from Ella Street was originally supposed to be constructed in 2025. We're just pushing those funds from 2025 to 2026. So that's where those dollars are coming from. Next, you notice $275,000 transfer from 2027 budget. Basically, we have $1 million allocated for roadway construction over the next 2 years. We stuck that $1 million in 2027 currently. So we're just saying, hey, we're going to take $275,000 from next year's budget and use it this year, is what we're trying to say, if that makes sense. With that being said, then we have a total budget of $5.1 million, and if everything comes in exactly how we hope it to, we'll have $23,800 left over. So that's what we're hoping.
That should work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is year one. Any questions on year one and why they're there? Or?
Maybe just because it'll come up sometime. So the state is putting in the whole 136 redo here. And 4 or 5 years from now or something, we're going to come back with a raise grant and redo it again, right? And this makes sense to do this.
Yeah, the mill and overlay, it needs to be done. It's falling apart. We can't keep up with the maintenance as is. And plus, you never know with construction delays, right-of-way, things like that, because who knows? It could be, we hope it's 5 years. It could be 6 or 7.
Of course, we don't even have the money, so what the heck?
And keep in mind that you're talking about a section that's only from 1st to 9th Street. And right. This project goes all the way from 1st to 24th Street. So
honestly, I knew the answer to that. I just wanted it to come out because people will ask about it.
James?
Yeah.
So you were talking about 26 Jefferson Street for 26. So it opens, kind of segues into a different section that is not really your wheelhouse, but that opens up the last 3 lots in Hannibal View?
Yeah, it would open up, we're when it gets all replatted, there should be 2 more in Hannibal View plus R4.
R4, okay, okay. I thought there was 3 left in Hannibal View, but when that's done, when Hannibal View, when those last 2 lots are built, then the TIF funds for that's released.
Yep. So then what we've talked about there with the added traffic, the homes, with the TIF funds being released, then that gives us an avenue to improve 26th Street, which was a gravel road that we recently added millings to help with the dust issue, but that would aid us into going in there now and also doing concrete reconstruction on that section of the roadway.
And that's not in the...
That's currently not in here because we're waiting to see when do those funds become available.
Right.
And then we can put that in the 1 and 6 year plan.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yep. All right, move on to year 2 if everybody's okay. So keep in mind, we have a lot of big projects. So when you have a lot of big projects, it eats up Jason's dollars pretty quick. So you'll see year 2, there's not much there. In year 2, this is when the state is slated to do the US Highway 77 project, starting all the way south of town by Beatrice Concrete, let's say, and going all the way through to Industrial Road. And this is a mill and overlay as well project, but this one does have a cost share to it. So keep that in mind. So I know everybody had a lot of questions when the discussion was brought about 4 lanes to 3 lanes. Keep in mind, this project, we're not changing the width of the roads or anything. They are mill and overlaying exactly where the curb and gutters are at now. The only thing the state will determine is when they go to stripe those lanes, is it going to be striped as 3 lanes or 4 lanes? And I think we've talked about it already, but just the funds available, if they stripe it as 4 lanes, we could be on the hook for $6 million, Tobias?
Correct.
And by going to the 3 lane, it's a budget we can handle, and we feel like the traffic will flow the way it should along this corridor.
Just a brief comment on that. I had several business people call me today that have businesses along there, and they were talking about that. And as one of the sore subjects, that's going to 3 lanes and things, because they just feel that the traffic is so heavy, that people aren't going to be able to get in and out. So I'm just going to say that there's a lot of people that do not want that to happen, just so you know. So.
Oh yeah, we've heard it. The only best description I can give to that effect is, to me, with the traffic volume that we have right now, and I believe this is what the state said, today, even with 4 lanes, it's functioning as a 3 lane. And what I mean by that is you have a southbound car in the inside lane, you have a northbound car in the inside lane, right? And they're all both trying to take left turns, right? Well, me sitting with that offset in there, right? I can't see around this car and he can't see around me. Mm-hmm. So you're waiting to decide, is their car coming or not, and it stacks up behind them no matter what, right? Well, now if we went to 3 lanes, those cars are face to face each other making those left-hand turn movements. Now I can see more directly past this turn lane person into the oncoming traffic versus trying to guess if there's a car coming or not. I get what people are saying, I get what the worry is, but I think today the traffic that we have, it functions as a 3 lane the way it is. Now we're hoping in the future, if this would happen, we can still add amenities like right turn lanes and things like that by that space that is made available. So then you would have a left turn lane, a through lane, and a right designated turn lane, which would really help at some of the lights like Monroe Street.
But that's a pretty big price tag to do that.
Yes.
We're talking maybe 30 million?
Oh, wait, I have no idea on that because the state.
Well, that's just figures that I've heard, thrown out.
The state now, when we're talking about those meetings and.
That $30 million number was looking to go from Industrial Row all the way south through town.
Yeah.
And that's moving all the curbs in and everything. If you're just concentrating on the northern portion there from Lincoln, say, north to Dorsey, much different price tag. I don't know if that number would be off the top of my head.
Yeah. But then, too, we could also plan for it. Versus that happening next year, and then we owe $6 million next year. We can plan for it a little bit and possibly get some other funds gathered for that construction. We hope.
Everybody that sits here has heard that from somebody in the community, multiple peoples in the community, that they'd like to leave it at 4 lanes. What I'm sure we've all explained to them is it's not our street. It's not really our decisions. We have an opportunity to either spend $6 million or $500,000, and it's not our street. And I'm sure that that's how I'm explaining it, that it's the state's project.
Yep.
Yeah. The state highway just happens to run through the middle of our community. So,
the bottom line for me is the price tag.
yes.
If all things considered, if the state said, oh, you can leave it 4 lanes, I'd say leave it 4 lanes.
Absolutely.
Those of us that remember this, it was bad when they changed it to 3 lanes. I'm hoping that we can do some things so it's not bad. It was. Traffic got way backed up, and so our memories are sound. But do I think we should spend $6 million to keep it 4 lanes? No, that's crazy. So it just means you might get someplace a little slower than you did before.
Little inconvenience.
A little inconvenience, and we save a lot of money.
Real quick question on that. Where's it going to switch from 4 lanes coming in from the north to 3 lanes? Is that Dorsey Street?
Yeah, I believe you'd be correct at that light there. Yep.
So, where are they going to start making people merge over?
Well, that would be in the state's design.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that could cause some problems there with the vehicles. And then when you got people driving combines through and you got these wind towers going through, there's going to be some problems.
Keep in mind the width of the road, though, right now is not going to change. So you'll still have that width available to you.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that the turn lane in there, that could be a problem.
And I think we can't miss the fact that this is more than money. This is also lives.
Yes.
And if you look at the Safe Streets for All plan that we put together, I think it was 6 or 7 of the hottest spots were right along that road. And for me, yes, I really want to save the money for other projects when you think we have $27 million we have to do. But on the other side of the coin, if we save just 1 life, that's worth any of the headache that everybody's talking about. So we have to remember that in that conversation too, because we are looking out for the constituents' lives in the city of Beatrice.
All right. Moving on from Highway 77, you'll see in here there's the project I was referring to later. I just have concrete reconstruction in there of $725,000 because I said we had $1 million and we're asking that $225,000 or $275,000 got shifted to year 1, so that leaves $725,000 in year 2. Now, one of the things that we're doing, if you remember me saying that we are having Street Logics drive our roadways again. We'll have new scores. It should be back to me in about 60 days, and we can reevaluate and look at whatever project we deem necessary to be put in. We can fit whatever project will fit that $725,000 in year 2. And we can look at those projects that we have listed later on. That's in, I call it 7-year plan, but it's just our wish list of projects. But we can plug any of those in once those ratings come back and we determine, hey, this is the street that we want to go there. And then following that is armor coating again. We have $22,500, and then mastic sealing for $22,500. That's currently what's in the budget. And each year, Jason determines with this model what ones that we want to do, and we fit within that budget.
On that armor coating, how much more life do you get out of a street when we do?
It depends on when you do it, but if you look at the curves, they say it has a bump up and then comes back down to original about 5 years. So, but it also depends on the condition that you're adding the armor coat to. So keep in mind that the armor coats and the ceilings, what they do is, Band-Aid's not the right word. It's more than a Band-Aid on top of the road, but it doesn't add any structural component to the roadway. You're sealing the surface back up, you're adding a wear surface, you're adding a friction factor to that roadway. But if the road is bad underneath the foundation, if it's bad, it doesn't matter, it's gonna fall apart. But we can maybe get to extending another couple years, but I would say 5 years is what you get out of that product. It helps to prolong it about 5 more years.
For the price, armor coating is the best option to extend the life of a roadway, no matter, hands down, for the price.
And we're especially excited, both Jason and I, well, I guess we're road geeks, right? It makes us excited, but is the armor coat that we used last year. We are really happy with the new rock and the product that we got last year. So that's how we propose to keep going, is using that expanded shell. We really like it. So. With that being said, we have a project cost of $10.1 million for fiscal year 2027 in our city budget. Right now, we have $1 million. So where does the other come from is the NDOT budget of about 8.5, and then the city's budget would make up the remainder of that, about 860,000. That's just my math. That's not, true numbers yet, but that's just the math that I have to make it work out based on the project cost that the state has given me. And then I pulled out 275,000, as we talked about, to year 26 for Jefferson Street. So with that, we have a budget of $10.13 million, which means we're right at about $10,000 under. We're basically net zero at that point with those numbers.
Where's the South Street Bridge fit in on 77 reconstruction?
So when I looked at that project, there's about, if you look in there under year 2, if you look down there, it says bridge improvements. There's $3.75 million that's allocated towards the bridge.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
And that is not complete replacement, I don't believe. That is just repairing the deck and the abutments. So
they plan on
this
doing
is
that
Highway
at the same
77
time.
bridge.
So they're going to tie those projects together?
Yeah, they would be done at the same time. Now, keep in mind, this is a large-scale project, and based on the state's numbers, they could push this back 2-3 years. I mean, right now, it's in the STIP for year 27, but at any moment, they could say, hey, we don't have the funds, it needs to be pushed back. So we'll see how that comes next year, and we'll be talking to you, what we're going to do for next year projects next year. So
We've seen projects stay on their 7 to 10 year list for 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's 7 to 10.
So this is year 1 and 2. To me, this fits within the budget that the council's approved pretty well. Moving forward, barring anything else, of course. But just real quick, I'm just going to touch really quick on years 3 through 6. One of the big projects that you're going to see on year 3 through 6, its recurring theme, is the Lincoln Street projects. As you recall, we did a study with JEO on Lincoln Street, and that would be from 4th clear out to about 24th Street on Lincoln Street. And basically, we put those costs that JEO come with, and we just split it over the next 3 years. From year 3, 4, 5, and 6, or 4 years, we split all those Lincoln Street projects up and put them on the 1 and 6 just to account for them and keep our eye on them. Because right now, they've been submitted for grant funds. If those would come through, then we can be moving on this project. It might be 4 blocks at a time. It could be half of it. Who knows? But we'll wait to see if we get any funding for that project.
It would be nice if it would be the intersection.
Yeah, well, I make no bones about it. I hate the Highway 77 and Lincoln Street intersection. The offset there, I don't know how we don't have more accidents there than what we do. It just drives me nuts. But that would be the first vote I would have, would be to do that intersection. So, but we'll see where the grant funds come in at.
Yeah, it should be noted, you talked earlier, Jason, about 7 to 10 years. This was planned out multiple years ago and we were all ready to get started on it and do it, and then the school district decided to build an elementary school that we had to put our money into for the roads there, or this would have been done, or at least started.
Yep.
So it's super important.
Yep. So then, I believe in your packets, if you want to, also, I guess I want to talk about it in here. We were also talking about the highway relocation project. I do have it in the 1 and 6. I have it starting on year 4, which would be 2029. That's just when I have it starting. The first phase of it now, and who knows, with the funds when they come in and when we get started, that could get pushed back too. So we'll have to see where it comes in. I have it broken up to over the next 3 years, year 4, 5, and 6 for that project. So, and I think the whole project will take, we're estimating year and a half of design. You could have a year right away, and then construction could be 2 to 3 years. So that, once that project gets going, it could be a total of 5 years. Yep. So, and then you would have the Court Street beautification project that would follow that. So, so if you go all the way to the last sheet, this is, and if you notice I put on there, it's called Future 2031. This is our wish list. All the projects that show up on the model that say, hey, these roads are bad, or projects that the council has came to us and said we'd like this included, or streets that Jason has deemed needs something done to them, we put them in our future projects, and we try to at least associate some dollars with those projects so that we're ready. If funds become available, we have an idea what project would fit those funds and then move it up on the 1 and 6 year plan. So, and these again are all generated from the model and then from comments from the public and the council. So, and as you can see at the very end of that, our wish list is pretty long. On our wish list, we have about $25.6 million worth of projects that we'd like to do. So we're a little short right now, but we'll keep an eye and do the best we can. So with that, I guess, is there any questions y'all have or anything else that you want to, I guess, talk about it more in depth on the 1 and 6?
One thing I would like to say, Ted, you'll catch this. It's amazing over the years where the street budget is went to, from where it was 10, 15 years ago to what we're talking numbers like this. Yeah.
Yeah, as we were going through the consent agenda here, my counterpart, Terry, leaned over and said, these are big numbers. Yeah. So, yeah, it's yeah. But I do want to say to you guys, we hear from all the department heads throughout the year, and when you two guys get here to talk about the 1 and 6 year road plans, you guys are really excited. It's really nice. I mean, Jason comes up and he talks about Boswell and he talks about the landfill, and it's like, well, this is it, and we've got these. But you guys sit here together and you go, let's get this done. It kind of makes everybody fired up to get a project done, and it's one of the things done. So kudos for you guys.
Well, it's like water and sanitary sewer. No one cares until you don't have it. But street is something that everybody can wrap their minds around. They travel on every day. They see them every day. And there's certain roads that you travel, you're like, man, this is just terrible. We need to get something done. And trust me, with the funds we have, we would like to do all the roads as well, but the dollars only go so far. So
You guys, you did that in maybe a half hour or something. I have no idea how many hours this took you guys to do this, but thank you for the work you did in your staff and stuff. This really puts it down very neatly for us to understand.
Yeah, it's been a learning curve for both of us. I mean, having, like I said, it's worked well for us having the analytical side, but then Jason having the boots on the ground side and going, no, this is what I want to do. And so then we get together and try to make it work the best we can. So.
And nobody asked that one question. How many years has it been since we had $1.8 million from the state? Like, it's the only thing we get for like 20 years, right?
Yeah, the amount of dollars.
It does not go up.
No.
Even no matter what complicated formula they use, they don't put any more money in the bucket.
Although, Bob, it should be said, not thrilled with it going to 3 lanes, not with the Highway 77, not thrilled with that, not thrilled at all. But, talking about the bridge that they're going to redo, Highway 77 they're going to redo, I do appreciate the state spending some money here.
Absolutely.
136.
Yep.
Yeah, 136, yeah, good point, Terry, yeah.
And keep in mind that, it's a good thing. I'm glad we are doing ADA ramps on the corners, but it also limits our street funds because we have it figured, each corner on an intersection costs us around $6,000 to $7,000 anymore per corner. So you're talking $20,000 to $30,000 additional, on a mill and overlay project that we could have maybe gone an extra block if we didn't have to do that. So I think the ADA ramps are a good thing that we're doing them. I'm just saying that it changes the amount of roadway that we can do, though, in a year. So
those numbers have went up fairly significantly, fairly quickly. It wasn't that long ago, and we were looking at $2,500 a corner. We were looking at $10,000 an intersection. My guys, we just did one here not long ago, and it cost us, I believe, about $5,000 for my guys to do it.
Yeah.
And so if we have a contractor, again, where we at?
In the 90s, during Mayor Marsted's first term here, he'd suggested that we do all the ADA ramps in town all at one time and pass a bond issue for it. I don't think it got a single vote from the council, but it was suggested.
And there are times where some communities put in the budget just to do ADA ramps. Now, what we've opted to do is any roadway project where we have to, by law, upgrade those ADA ramps anyway, so we're trying to do that. Now, we could get to a point where we've done most of them on our major roadways, and then maybe we could choose to just do an ADA project some point down the line when those funds become available.
And I think there have been municipalities that have went and had a very aggressive repair on ADA ramps and got halfway through their repair plan and found out that the code changed. And the ones they did in the beginning don't meet the code now. So,
One of the big changes coming down the design for sidewalks is 4-foot sidewalks are no longer acceptable. Pretty much everybody's going to 5 foot, because otherwise if you go a certain span, then you have to have a landing there for 2 people to pass each other. So it's kind of like, well, instead of doing that, we'll just make them 5 foot. So a lot of communities are opting to go, now their minimum standard is no longer 4 foot, it is 5 foot. So.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Close the hearing.
I move the public hearing be closed at 6:50 PM.
Second.
Your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. So we'll move on to the resolutions, and of course, the first resolution will be number 7669, adopting the 1- and 6-year road and street plan for 2026 as recommended by the Board of Public Works.
I move that resolution number 7669 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Any more questions? Okay, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. We'll move on to resolution number 7670, executing the loan agreement, promissory note, personal guarantee, and deed of trust between the City of Beatrice and Jeffrey B. Hubka and Shelli K. Hubka for a direct loan in the amount of $69,909 from the city's CDBG Downtown Revitalization Grant 23-DTR-002.
I move the resolution number 7670 be passed and adopted.
Second.
This is another one of our downtown revitalization grants. This is be obviously for Jeff Hubka. It is building at 508 Court Street. As you saw, it's just a hair under $70,000. This is to do some roof repairs and some tuck pointing on his building. And just as all the other grants have been set up, it's a forgivable loan. As long as he keeps the improvements for 5 years, ultimately everything gets forgiven. But this is a way for us to recoup our money in the event that he would not keep the improvements and we would have to pay the state back.
Any discussion needed? Your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Okay, we'll move on to resolution number 7671, executing the First Amendment to the contract for sale of real estate with Hoppe and Sons LLC in order to extend the closing date from December 31st, 2025 to August 7th, 2026.
I move the resolution number 7671 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Everybody recall that we have an agreement with Hoppe for them to purchase the south side of Stoddard School as part of their next housing project. After they get done with maybe the paddock and then probably Stoddard, right? That's probably the next one that they're working on. Our closing was set to occur here in December. We reached out to them. They indicated that they need to wait for closing until all their grant documents are signed and taken care of, and they anticipate that to be in August. By August of next year. So this simply just pushes back closing from December of this year to August of next year. Everything's still in the works. Every bit of that project looks like it's still moving forward. They just can't acquire the property until all their I's are dotted and T's are crossed with the grant paperwork.
Who owns that now, T?
We do.
So they're going to be doing construction and stuff on property we own, and we're going to have to insure it
No. There's no construction going on.
in the Kensington?
This is the Stoddard School.
Oh, Stoddard, I missed that.
This is the south half of the Stoddard School property.
Okay.
Any other questions? Your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. Okay, we'll move on to resolution number 7672, executing the acknowledgment from the P3 Foundation memorializing the agreement between the city and AF-18R-Lincoln LLC regarding the setting aside of 4 scholarships for the qualifying students from Beatrice.
I move the resolution number 7672 be passed and adopted.
Second.
If you remember, we went into an agreement to issue some bonds for the housing development in Lincoln. That's part of the UNL campus up there, which is P3 Foundation. As part of that agreement, one of the things we'd asked for was for them to set aside 4 scholarships for Beatrice students that would be going to UNL. And so this memorializes that particular part of that agreement. What it says through there is that they'll set aside 4 scholarships for qualifying students. From Beatrice, it doesn't say they have to go to UNL. They can go, I believe they can go to Southeast Community College or other institutions up there. They have to have income qualify, which for a college student is not terribly difficult to do. And then they have to be from the city of Beatrice. And if they do that, then they'll have some scholarships available for them.
For how many years?
As long as the grants or the bonds are sitting out there.
Does the high school make those determinations and?
It's be one of those that if a student's looking for housing, they would have to reach out to there and talk to them directly and let them know. And
Can we get information maybe out to the high school that it's available? They can pass
yeah,
it
we can
along?
talk to the high school and let them know that it's out there.
Because I hate for them to sit there and then not be used. And is it just for total, so you would have to wait for the 4 years until they were done and then?
It's each year.
Each
It's
year we
just
can
like
have
any
4.
other-
Wonderful.
Yep, you can. I looked online today at their site. You can get leased up for August of 26 already for the next school year. So they're 1-year leases.
Wonderful.
What's the, looking through this, what's the income based on? Because, when you read this and stuff, they talk about if there's less than 4 qualified students, then they don't have to, accept anything. So how are we being guaranteed that we're going to have 4 students? There's nothing in here that says anything about setting aside, that this is the income level, that you'd qualify. So, without knowing that, how do we know that they're going to approve? Obviously, they're the ones that are going to approve this, but yet, so it says right there, here, the owner shall only be required to set aside a number of scholarships that are qualified students for that academic year. So, there's nothing in here, do I see anything what makes you qualified?
If you look at the stipulations attached there, they being P3 Foundation, which is also AF18R Lincoln LLC, they have an agreement with the taxing entity up in Lancaster County to ensure that they can keep their tax exempt status, is where you get the income levels and qualifications. The numbers aren't set in there because those are changed each year, but they have to make sure they set aside those requirements as part of their stipulation with the taxing entity in Lincoln, in Lancaster County.
It was in the original agreement we signed with them.
Yes.
Yeah. All that information was in there.
No, it wasn't.
The income level, I don't believe is in there.
Not the income
Because
level,
I asked him for
but
it
that it
that
had
night,
to be,
he said no.
they were guaranteeing 4 of our students.
So, excuse me.
I could almost
ahead.
guarantee you, with the cost of the college education and the FAFSA that they fill out and the Pell Grants that they'll be qualified for, there's no question that there will be at least 4 students from Beatrice that will qualify. And that FAFSA and that Pell Grant determination is done by the Federal Department of Education, and it changes every year, so it almost is impossible to put it in writing. But I can guarantee you, from the days of 30-some years in education and looking through FAFSA and looking through students that are trying to get their education that need assistance, they won't have any problem.
Well, I and I don't doubt exactly what you're saying, Bob, and I appreciate you saying it, but it just feels like, that this last statement here where they say, for avoidance of doubt, if there are any less than 4 qualified students in the scholarship application pool for any academic year, the owner shall be required to set aside a number of scholarships as qualified students academic. But basically, to me, I agree, but being this writing, it's like they could turn it down and maybe we get 1 student, and that way they get paid, the other students, for the housing. And it just feels like, it's not that, I'm against the idea. I just, can't feel like I can vote for this the way this is written up. And that's, so I'm going to be a no vote, I'll just say that.
Okay. And that's absolutely, your prerogative.
Yeah.
I will just tell you that seeing the way it is, we'll have plenty of students that will qualify. So, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and back on July 7th, when that Star Shoki or whatever was here, and you asked him about, if students have to qualify, and he said, no, there's no income qualifications. So he said there's no, but yet now we're saying that there are. And, so, I'm not sure, you're hearing one thing, and then, Terry asked on October 6th, Terry asked, Jesse Curry, about that. Is there going to be income based? And it's typically just to any student that qualifies for housing through the University of Nebraska. So I'm not sure there's any income requirements on that. So we've had two people here talking about that, there's like no income. But now this is coming up saying there are income requirements. So I feel like, we had two people here telling us there's not, and now, so you understand my reservations on it. So.
Any other discussion?
Just a couple of really thoughts more than anything else. So we're assisting these guys on issuing $38 million of housing bonds for, are these 30-year bonds, T? I can't remember. I think maybe.
I think so. I'd have to go back and read the documents.
So.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
So we're memorializing this for maybe up to 30 years. And when I read the resolution, the way I read it is that it implies there's just 4 scholarships, not something that is going to be done annually. In the second whereas, it just says B3 Foundation has agreed to set aside 4 scholarships for qualifying students from Beatrice. I just think we should have annually in there, and I think in section 1 we should have annually in there. And without question, we are saving this company, which is just fine because we're trying to promote housing and stuff. We're saving them literally hundreds of thousands of dollars between commercial interest that they'd have to borrow money for compared to municipal interest. I just think we should ask them when they're making their bond payment once a year that they also send you a letter, or the mayor or somebody a letter, and tell us how many scholarships they're giving. I don't care about people's names or whatever. I just would like to see that thing is actually working, because it's a really important part. It's one of the real reasons that I voted in favor of this. We had to go from 1 but got it changed to 4, which is wonderful. But I think it would be nice if they just wrote us a letter and told us we were able to give this many scholarships this year, so we know if it's working, fine. If it's not working, we can make the public more aware of it, because there's not a motivation on their part to get these issued if you want to be cynical about it. So I think we just need to do our best to see that the word gets out and every one of these scholarships are used every single year. And I pat them on the back for broadening, not just UNL. It could be any other school there and almost any kind of training. They've really broadened that out. But I would just like you to look at the resolution that we're asking to be passed and see if it implies the same thing to you as it does to me.
The resolution, and I drafted it. Yes, it refers to 4 scholarships and then talks about Exhibit A. And Exhibit A is the letter itself, which would be signed. And in that's one that says 4 scholarships per academic year. If you wish to ask for Exhibit A to be, or for the resolution to be amended to add the word annual in there, no problems.
Yeah. I just think we're doing this for 30 years. It wouldn't hurt, and so there's no question. I'm not going to be here. Most of us aren't going to be here around this table. So I just think it's good for us to do that. So I'll make a motion that we amend this resolution 7672 and add in the second paragraph that starts with whereas, and in section 1, add the word, these 4 scholarships will be provided annually.
Is there
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay. First thing we do is vote on them.
First thing we do is vote on the motion to add word annually to the resolution.
Your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Now we'll come back and we will vote on the actual resolution.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, Terry, though, on let's get the word out. Let's make sure we fill those scholarships from Beatrice, because that is a huge benefit to our
I'm
students.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If we ask them for the letter, which we can ask them for that letter, that's not that big a deal. 1 letter for $38 million. We can see actually the scholarships that they're actually providing to people. We'll be able to know next year whether these things are working or not, and we can help get the word out if they're not.
Your vote, please. And that passes 6-1. All right, there is no ordinances. I don't believe I have anybody out there who wants a public forum. So we'll do the city administrator's monthly report.
Yeah, if you look through there, we've got a number of projects that are kind of wrapping up, hopefully relatively soon. Corral Crossings, as we kind of indicated earlier, pavement is moving along. The next thing you'll see happen is our electric department move in and start installing electricity. Also, we have to install the property pins at the different locations. So that'll be kind of the next thing. Heritage Heights, I think everybody can kind of easily see that concrete's being poured there. That's kind of the big push at that one. The landfill's moving along. We're looking to hopefully have an open house in December. We'll get some details. We'll let everybody know. Have you come out, take a look at the landfill there. The the taxiway project, the airport, they're hoping to be wrapped up by December 4th. They've got most of all the concrete poured. I believe all the concrete's poured out there. So they're looking to get that project done. Hangar bids are due back this week. So on the 20th, we open those and see what we get back on those particular bids. And we've already started work on the next project out there, which are the nav lights on the runways as airplanes come in. That project hopefully will go out to bid. It might be January just due to the holidays by the time it gets there, but they're working on that one. So just wrapping up a few projects and pushing some other ones ready for design.
So I got a question on the airport thing. So they came in really high, we had to rebid it. So can we, if they come in again high, can we split that? Do the taxiways on one side and hangar it's on another side? Can we bid it two separate ways?
So
is that their idea? That's what's causing it to be so high?
No. So what happened when we bid that project out initially was the hangar, and it came in under budget like we thought it was going to. But due to the delay in getting that project pushed through with all the grant dollars, that's when they went back to the original contractor, and he said he wanted $279,000 more dollars, and the engineer said that doesn't make any sense. Let's reject all the bids and go back out and rebid. So the initial bids we got were good.
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah, it's just a little tweak up.
And the reason they added the taxiways is because there was additional funds left over to then do some additional taxiway work.
Okay.
So that's why they added those.
Okay, I kind of interrupted Mike here, and I'll let him jump in, but I had one other question. I'm glad Jay's here, Chief Murphy's here, sorry. The drone project, $40,000, he's got $21,000, he's $21,000 short. I mean, but it still says that you think you're going to get it done in 26?
I believe so. I'm confident in Jay.
Private dollars, you think you're going to raise an additional 21K?
I'm not sure it's going to come in at that high.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure it is. Sergeant Carver's got a couple estimates on it, and there's a lot of additional things on the drone that they don't need, and so it's knocking off a bunch of dollars. So I think we should do it.
We got it in the budget. That was the biggie.
What's that?
We got it in the budget.
You got it in the budget, yeah.
To start anyway.
Yeah.
Just a quick question on the runway project where he's running the contract several days behind now and it's continuing to get worse. What kind of penalties, will there be penalties assessed on that or?
Yes, I believe that contract calls for liquidated damages of $1,000 per day. It was initially broke up into 4 phases. It ended up getting into 3 phases. There's liquidated damages per phase if they were over, and there's liquidated damages overall if they're late. And I believe your report says how many days he's late already.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. That's
quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 44 or something like that. I think it was kind of the ballpark that they're late right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Comment. I appreciate all the time you put in that report. I wish more people were able to look at it because there's a lot of stuff going on here. We got a lot of projects we're doing for this community right now, and that report puts it all together. So I appreciate you and whoever helps you do that.
Oh, trust me, all these guys get their portion, get their say in it. So.
All the department heads, I'm sure,
Enjoy
do.
it.
So I appreciate all that work.
Thank you, and it is available on our website. You can go there and see it after the meeting. It's also, I think they push out through Facebook, so it's on there as well. So there are plenty of opportunities for people to read what's going on.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. The next meeting will be December 1st, 2025, which means next week on Thursday is Thanksgiving, and I will wish everyone a prosperous and thankful Thanksgiving.
Same to you, bud.
Thank you.
With that, motion to adjourn.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 7:09 p.m. No.
Second.
Now you go.
Your vote, please.
Are we off?
7-0.
Not yet.